Hi, this is Gary Kay. We're at InfoComm 2019. One of the new companies here in the commercial AV space is a company called ScreenBeam, which is owned by a company called Actiontec. And I'm here with Mike Ehlenberger, who is the general manager of ScreenBeam. Mike, first off, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So I kind of fell upon this company. It's a new company in the industry. Actually not totally new. You've been in the commercial AV space for a couple of years, but really just recently started getting some traction, more focused on education, now moving into the corporate space in the wireless collaboration side. So think ClickShare, except you're a little less expensive than ClickShare and some other features. Talk about your differentiation, because that segment of the market is pretty crowded right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've seen worldwide, there's probably 40 companies out there that are doing wireless presentation systems of some sort. But the real story behind where ScreenBeam came from is we're Microsoft's co-engineering partner for wireless display. And so we've been working with them over the last several years to actually embed the technology into the Windows operating system and to fully advance Miracast. So today, it's not just about display, but it's also about touch and touchback capabilities, which is how we jump forward for customers and get them towards wireless collaboration in the front of the room.
So in your case, your product is software connection based, but a hardware receiving based, right?
No. Actually, that's quite to the contrary. Everything that we do is fully native. And so the native connections for Windows are happening within the operating system. You just click to connect and you're ready to go. If you're connecting with an Apple device, you're using Apple AirPlay to connect, and Android the same thing. You're using the native connections. So the thing about ScreenBeam that's so significant in the market is it's no apps. It's full native, it's touch capability, and when you're working with devices like Windows devices and Mac OS devices, when you're using those app-based systems, the challenge is they just give you a mirrored screen, and you can't run in extended display mode. When you run in a native environment like ScreenBeam, you have full extended display mode, so you have your privacy still. You can be projecting to the front of the room and still using your personal device to take notes, send emails, or use Messenger or whatever it is you're doing.
Does that include iOS as well and Mac OS?
It includes Mac OS, but iOS actually doesn't have that capability. You can't extend their screen.
In Mac OS, you can do extended desktop.
Yeah, you can do extended desktop, and what's great is that the operating system really sees us as a native display. So however you would change displays, if you would go to extend or duplicate, yeah, you're not using special software, you're just using your device like you would. The only difference is that the cable is missing, and oh, by the way, if you're at an interactive screen in the front of the room, you're getting full interactivity when you're using a Windows 10 device, which is super cool.
This is the product here, ScreenBeam 1100, and it has three USB inputs, including one USB 3, and also an HDMI output. So it's pretty common sort of media player-ish kind of device. And you also have a new version of it that's built into an OPS slot.
That's right.
For OEM. So you'll see companies like NEC, Samsung, LG, companies like that would adopt this, I guess you would hope. And so therefore you wouldn't have an HDMI output on it. But the idea behind this is you're able to send up to 4K content wirelessly. Can you select the resolution to output, like in a case where you're connected to a monitor wall or video wall, it might have varying output resolutions? Or is it always going to assume the native resolution based on EDID and HDCP handshakes?
Well, it's going to deal with EDID and HDCP for sure, but the device itself is going to dictate the resolution, and the content's also going to dictate the resolution. So if you're not playing 4K content, of course you're not going to have real 4K, but if you do have 4K content, then it's going to automatically just scale itself and display in 4K.
Can you send multiple pieces of content to it at the same time? So if two people connect to the same time, can you show both screens at the same time?
So today it's a 1-to-1 ratio. We actually do some interesting stuff on the education side of our business. We have a product called Classroom Commander, which is a software application, and it allows up to 50 devices to connect simultaneously, and then gives the teacher peering capabilities so they can see, hey, here's what all my students are doing, and then decide which of those students that they might want to push to the front of the screen. But we haven't taken that next step of doing multi-screen. Our big focus as a company is really understanding the 90% use case and being the absolute best at that. And the 90% use case today for wireless display, why people need it is, number one, you just need to start meetings quickly, you need productivity. Number two, people need to be able to interact, and collaboration is a big concern for companies. There's a lot of investment and there's a lot of potential to limit its usefulness if you have to do a lot of professional development to get them there. with our partnership with Microsoft and really staying in our lane with Office 365, when you collaborate with ScreenBeam and Microsoft products using the native inking built into Office 365, you're just using the tools that you're used to using every single day. And that makes it very easy for people to get work done and then to continue to work because it's always there for you. It's stored, shared, and distributed in real time because you're connecting up through Teams and OneNote and SharePoint and just all the wonderful tools that Microsoft is creating.
Real quickly, I'd like to know, obviously whenever you're connecting something like this to a corporate network, security is always going to be a question. How do you deal with security, and what kind of security protocols or rankings or level of security, I guess I should say, do you have?
Well, I don't know if I can answer all the deep security questions, but let me talk about the architecture for a second. So with the ScreenBeam 1100, a few things that we've done is we've answered a number of the problems that we found in the industry. The number one problem is when you're connecting macOS and iOS devices that they're all coming across infrastructure, right? Windows 10 devices are connecting peer-to-peer, so that's just in the room and you don't have a lot to worry about. But when you have a wireless display system and it's only a single network, you have to decide, okay, what network does it go on? Does it go corporate or does it go onto the guest network? This device actually is true multi-network, so you can connect it to the corporate network and to the guest network at the same time, and it's always ready to connect to devices on both networks. You don't have to switch, you don't have to select, there's no user intervention. Peer-to-peer is always ready, and we also light up a Wi-Fi mode on the front end, and so if you want to do total isolation and still want to let Mac devices connect, they can actually connect up to a little AP built into the front of this in Wi-Fi mode, and they can wirelessly project, but then still use their 4G, 5G for internet service. So it's got a ton of flexibility.
All right, so the company is ScreenBeam. They're at ScreenBeam.com.
Yes.
And they actually will send you a little side-by-side comparison chart comparing your current wireless collaboration device to their product, which I found kind of interesting. I think you should ask them for that. And check it out, ScreenBeam.com. Mike, thank you very much for joining me. Appreciate the download. We got a lot of stuff to cover here at InfoComm 2019. Go to ravepubs.com/InfoComm 2019.